Welcome to this edition of the Talk of Simsbury. My name is Dominique Avery. Our first guest today is Lisa Kareem, Simsbury's library director. Lisa was here just about a year ago when she first started the job. We were both sort of starting out. Lisa was new, and so was this show. I think it was the second Talk of Simsbury. So we brought her back to see how her first year went in Simsbury and get an update on all things going on in the library. Lisa, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
If I recall correctly, when we first met you, we talked a little bit about the hiring process, and you said that you were attracted to the job here because the library seemed to be so bustling and a real cornerstone of the community. Has the job met your expectations?
Absolutely. It continues to bustle, and it definitely is the cornerstone of the community. It's a gathering place for people. It's a place where people know they can come to connect with other people and connect with information and learn more about technology and get more comfortable with technology.
So a year ago you said to me that you had two priorities. One was a teen coordinator, I think that's what you called it, or a teen something or other. And the other thing was work on the website. So have you hired somebody, a special teen person?
Well, with all things, they take time. And while they were priorities, they're being addressed now. The website is in production right now.
Really?
So look for that coming hopefully in September. And then the teen librarian, we are actually on to our second round of interviews next week for that position. So we are very excited.
That's very timely. So when do you think you're going to have a teen librarian actually on board?
It's hard to say. We've had many, many great candidates from across the country. So narrowing it down was very difficult, but I'm hoping by the end of September we'll have someone on board.
So tell me a little bit about the changes people can expect on the website.
It will be much more intuitive. It will be much more easy to navigate and to interact with, certainly to find what you're looking for. It will highlight better what the library offers so that the resources we have are not as underutilized as they are right now.
So what kind of things, what is underutilized?
Well, I don't know if people know, but we have access to genealogical databases like Ancestry.com and Heritage Quest. We also have access to Universal Class, and what else do we have? The Universal Class offers many different courses that you can take online independently for a plethora of different things: accounting, gardening, photography, all kinds of things. And there's also technology-based classes there as well.
So one thing that I have found a little bit difficult to use is the search inside the library itself. So many of us are like used to Google. You go to Google, you type in a book name, and it pops up, and you can find out a lot about it. The library website, internal website, has always been a little harder.
You mean the library catalog?
Catalog,
well, actually, Simsbury Library is part of the Library Connection Consortium, and all of the member libraries in that consortium just migrated in June to a new integrated library system. Its innovative interface is Sierra, and their search component, Encore, is actually much more user-friendly, and it functions much more like Google. I know when it first rolled out in June, there was some, intrepidation that it was different, it was harder to navigate, but it's really not. And we actually have statistics at this point, since we've been on it for about a month and a half, that people are finding their way, and we know that the number of people placing holds or reserves for material independently without a staff intermediary has gone up from 37% on our old system to 66% on the new one.
So that's internal, that's in the library when you go to one of the computers like you would go to...
Well, it's internal and it's also remotely. You can search from home.
Remotely.
Yes.
So, okay, so those are the things coming up. Let's talk a little bit about what's been going on at the library. I mean, we did something on the Innovators Workshop, and we just ran something on our Headlines program about the Maker Buddies. So tell people who haven't heard about these things what what's been going on in terms of?
Well, there are many things that have been going on, but one of the biggest things was the rollout of our 3D printing lab as part of our Innovators Workshop Makerspace. And the way that the Innovators Workshop came to be was that last fall we formed a community committee to look at makerspaces and whether it was feasible here in Simsbury and whether it would be something that would be utilized by the community. And through about the participation of 30 to 35 people who were very interested, involved, and also Make Hartford, which is the makerspace in Hartford, people from there also came to the committee meetings. We determined that this was a route we would like to go, and we developed Innovators Workshop. And then we sought grant money and contributions to outfit 3D printing lab, which rolled out at our Innovators Fair in April. Right. And that was put together with a generous contribution from the Kelly family in memory of Eunice Kelly, who was a wonderful woman. And I think would love the innovation of the 3D printing lab. And from Simsbury Bank and Simsbury Granby Rotary and a grant from Connecticut Humanities.
Yeah, we had some. We actually had David Bloom. We filmed it, and we had something on the air. We had it on our headlines program. It was a very nice program. Maker Buddies. We just ran some photos from that, but maybe you could tell people who have not heard about the Maker Buddies program what that is.
Maker Buddies is it's sort of an offspring of Innovators Workshop, or part of Innovators Workshop. And part of what we've been trying to do over the course of the past year is more collaborative programming with community groups and also with the high school and the other schools. So Maker Buddies is we pair up Simsbury High School volunteers with elementary school age children to do maker kinds of programs. You probably saw from the pictures they were dealing with a makey, and I think they made a piano out of celery one week and bananas the next week, and they had a cardboard guitar that they were dealing with, and they were also dealing with the electrified dollhouse. So that's what, if you saw the picture of the girls working on the dollhouse, they were actually creating electrical current so it would light up.
Wow. So is that going to continue? I know that was a very active over the summer. Is that going to continue during the school year?
It's something we'd like to continue, but again, we need to have the availability of those high school volunteers. So it's something we'd like to pursue.
So they get pretty busy once school starts.
They absolutely do.
There's something else coming up that does from the Friends of the Library, which we might as well mention because it's going to run. This is going to run all through August, and that is the incredible used book sale.
Yes, the used book sale is coming.
So I know last year Charmaine was here with you. That the Friends supply the library with a lot of things based on the funding that they get from that. Is that helpful to the library?
It's extremely helpful to the library. It allows us to expand the number of programs we can offer to the community tenfold, and the breadth of the programs that we can offer. Our musical programs on Friday evenings will actually be changing a little bit in September. They'll go back to the award-winning Friends Coffee House setup that we used to have many years ago, and the Friends are the ones who support that program.
So tell me about that. I don't know what that is.
Well, in the past we've had music once a month on Friday evenings, and it was the Friends Classical Music Series. We're going back to a more coffee house approach to it, so it's more of a destination, a place to go after dinner and sit and relax and listen to music and maybe chat with your friends and not so much be an audience necessarily.
Oh, so not a concert, but right, okay.
Yeah.
So like maybe coffee or something. Will there actually be coffee there?
Very good question. I need to investigate that.
So will that be in the program room, or are there going to be tables?
That will be in the program room,
or
yes.
couches or something?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Speakers program. You have some really interesting people come. Who arranges for that? Who handles that?
Well, Susan Ray, who's the head of adult services, is in charge of coordinating all of the adult programs except for the business programs, which Jenna Mayotte, the Business Resource Center coordinator, contributes to and collaborates.
I'm actually doing a blogging thing tonight.
Oh, that's right. She's doing blogging for beginners tonight.
Yeah,
Should be a great program. She has a lot of knowledge to impart.
Yeah, and the other thing that maybe people haven't been aware of, I did a workshop on Facebook. And now I post on Facebook all the time. I do it for Simsbury Tourism, and I do it for SCTV.
Well, look for coming up in the fall. Susan Ray has wonderfully arranged for a scholarly set of speakers to come
On
a variety of different topics.
So scholarly meaning historians or what?
All kinds of different topics, all kinds of different backgrounds.
Okay, so now we have just a few minutes back. You came here from the Poughkeepsie area a year ago, and how have you settled in here? What's been different? Have there been adjustments, or does it feel similar?
The adjustment was minor. I think the most important thing, and I wasn't even pleasantly surprised because I knew it was going to be this way. The community is so receptive of the library and what the library offers and new things the library offers. They're voracious for everything that we have and that we do for them, and I think that's great.
So, and you mentioned you're still living in West Hartford?
We are still living in West Hartford, yes. Our house in Poughkeepsie just actually closed on Tuesday, so.
Well, that must be a relief.
It is a huge relief, yes.
So just let me just go back to the website a little bit. That's something that we can look forward to. What's the headline out of that? What are you going to warn the people of Connecticut? What are they going to find with the website? I mean, people of Simsbury, not the people of Connecticut. Sorry, overreaching here. Is there anything that's particularly different, or you think it's just more intuitive?
I really think the key focus that we've come back to when designing the new website is ease of use and having people be able to find what they're looking for easily. A maximum of 3 clicks to get wherever you're going, and look for more graphics, look for more eye-catching things.
Are you going to be able to access the calendar? I mean, sometimes I find I have to go.
The calendar will be right on the homepage.
Okay.
Yes.
So sometimes there's a lot to click through.
And you'll be able to access information from the Friends and programming information right from the homepage.
Now, did you hire that out? Did you hire somebody to do the
We
website?
did work with a contractor for that, yes.
So I'm pretty sure I can't exactly tell how many minutes we have left. Now I see we have 2 minutes left. I'm going to wrap up now. We have another guest coming. Don't go away. I want to thank Lisa for stopping by and giving us an update on all the wonderful things. And I'm going to put a lot of the things in our next headline show, which is our sort of bi-monthly show on news events happening.
Great,
because
thank you.
I think some important things are happening. And we're going to take a break now. When we come back, we're going to be talking about something very different, the opening of Simsbury's medical marijuana production facility. So it's just going to be a minute. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Talk of Simsbury. Joining us for part 2 of the show is April Arasate, an attorney who was one of the founders and is the chief operating officer of Curaleaf, which is operating a medical marijuana facility in Simsbury. April was last here in February when it was announced that Curaleaf was one of 4 facilities chosen by the Department of Consumer Protection to grow medical marijuana. Welcome back, April.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So it's been a few months since February, and I assume that a lot has been going on. Tell us a little bit about at the time you were excited about having gotten the license to open the facility, and I assume that it's about ready to open or has opened.
Yes, so it's been a very busy few months, as you can imagine. We have completed construction of 23,000 square feet of that space, about half the facility. We are now the sole occupants of the facility.
Oh, really?
Yep. We have installed a pretty significant security system, basically outfitted all of our processing areas, our grow space. We've passed our final inspection, so we're going. We're happening.
So to go back to the security, somebody mentioned in one of the public meetings that there is a chain link fence there. So I actually took my little camera and went to take a look for myself. And if our viewers were paying attention, they will have seen pictures of the chain link fence and all the security leading up to it. It's a substantial fence.
Yeah, I did hear that you were up at the facility.
Right.
My security guards did let me know. But yeah, it's a 10-foot perimeter fence. You can't cut it, you can't climb it. It's a substantial fence. It's not just a kickball fence.
Yeah, I mean, it does look, it's a little intimidating, I have to say.
Serving its purpose.
So now you're open, you've passed your final inspection.
Yep.
Is there actually something growing there? How long does it take a marijuana plant to grow?
It depends on the strain. They have different life cycles, but between, once they're flowering, between 6 and 8 weeks. So we anticipate having product for our dispensaries in late September, which is great because I know there's a lot of patients in the state waiting, and the state is anxious to get the program up and running. So there are 6 licensed pharmacies that are going to be dispensing the product for us, and we're really just waiting for it. Now it's just waiting for Mother Nature to do its thing.
So you're not just dealing with one dispensary. You're going to be, so that has to do with product, or?
Yeah, I mean, we have a range of products.
Tell us a little bit about product, what's available.
So we're trying to get away from smoking as a means of delivery. Just basically anything that takes the products of combustion and puts it into your body is maybe not the best thing. So we're trying to really extract our raw material further into oils and tinctures and create things that you can vaporize in a vape pen to smoke, or it's not actually smoking, it's vaporizing. Also, tinctures that you can put under your tongue. They get into your system through your mucosal glands instead of having to go through like an edible. When you eat it, it goes through your, you have to metabolize it. It's a different delivery system. It takes a little bit longer. So we're really trying to give the patient a lot of options as far as delivery systems go, and our product line reflects that. In addition, it's hard to kind of talk about these things because a lot of people don't have a great education of cannabinoids, but cannabinoids are the compounds within the plant, and 2 of the cannabinoids that are really talked about a lot these days are CBD and THC. THC is the psychoactive component of the plant. So we have a product line that really defines a high THC line, which has therapeutic benefit for some of the qualifying conditions. Also a high CBD line, which you can get therapeutic benefit for other conditions without the high. And then a 1-to-1, which is really important, has shown a lot of efficacy in the research from around the world.
So I know there's been quite a bit of controversy with Colorado that's legalized the recreational use, and they've had quite a bit of problems with edibles and people overdosing and candy.
Yeah, we have, Connecticut doesn't allow candy or confections in this state, so, and I find that to be a good thing. You don't want something lying around that looks too enticing for a child. But also in Connecticut, we have a very strict requirement that if you call something X brand, then that has to fall, if anytime you pull that product off the shelf, that has to fall within plus or minus 3% of the stated active ingredient percentage, so, or content. So if you say this is 15 milligrams of THC, every time that product goes out the door, you have to know that that's plus or minus 3%, 15 milligrams THC.
So people will have some way of telling what's going to. So let me go back to who is allowed to apply for permission to take medical marijuana. Describe the law again, and who is eligible for this. So
in order to be registered with the state as a patient, you have to first be diagnosed with one of the 12 qualifying conditions, which there's a range, which is a cancer, glaucoma, seizure disorders, MS, Parkinson's, and we've been through this before. But then you also need a recommendation from your physician for cannabis. So then you register with the state, and you can then go to any dispensary. And the dispensaries are licensed pharmacists, which is nice because it's another layer of education for the patient.
Which was which was Connecticut's
Connecticut's
plan. And I read somewhere that the pharmacies as a group met and discussed this. Is that true? Were you there?
Yeah, they actually The Connecticut Pharmacy Association has been very involved and very supportive of the program. They actually put on a symposium in Southington several weeks ago, and it was very educational. They brought in some excellent speakers from around the country and around the world to really educate physicians and pharmacists on cannabis.
So one of the things that I read somewhere that your facility, we sort of made that clear when we talked in February, is not some sort of backyard field operation, but it is a building with I wrote down, exacting standards of pharmaceutical factories.
Yes.
So that's what it looks like inside. It looks like
a pharmaceutical company. Yeah,
right.
Correct. We have really put a lot of effort into creating an environment that really meets the requirements of a pharmaceutical. So we have, a positive pressure facility to make sure that our product is unadulterated. I think we mentioned before we're using organic growing practices. We have, formerly that site was high-tech manufacture, so it was equipped with 8 clean rooms. We have state-of-the-art extraction technology and refinement technology. And really just a facility that, prior to anything coming in, we sterilized the entire facility. We're really committed to meeting these strict testing requirements that Connecticut has mandated.
So I noticed when I was doing some research as well that there were some ads for people to come work there. How
Yes.
many people did you hire, and how many people are actually working
So
there?
right now we have about 12 employees. We'll probably have about 20 when we finish. We have hired a lab manager. He has years of experience in quality assurance and quality control for botanicals and pharmaceuticals. So he'll be running our extraction as well as our in-house lab, because we're doing in-house testing, and as well as our developing best practices for packaging, and we want to be as close to GMP as we can.
GMP?
Yep.
What does that mean?
Good manufacturing practices.
Oh, thanks.
So we also have hired our lead cultivator. She is an expert in organics. She was responsible for growing the largest herb selection organically in the Northeast before we pulled her for cannabis cultivation. And then we have hired several grow assistants and an operations manager who is local, and are about to hire probably an administrative assistant.
So everything's a go. When did you actually open the doors?
We got our final inspection this month.
Another question I had was, how do you handle garbage from your facility?
So it's a good question. We are actually composting. Any regular garbage goes out like regular trash. And then
paper and plastics.
Yep, so we have a trash collection service, but we are actually going to be composting any of the materials that we aren't using, which basically means it's ground up and then reintroduced into a mixture that, I'm sure everybody composts in their garden.
Right.
It's the same process. It's just nice because we don't have to send any material out into the world. We can just utilize it to, rejuvenate our soil.
So I noticed, I think it was this weekend, that the New York Times is have you noticed? Did
Yes,
you read
they're
this?
supporting.
Their major project examining various reasons for repealing the federal law against marijuana. And one of the things that I saw was a chart which showed that 36 states have already liberalized marijuana laws, including Connecticut, which has already decriminalized possessions of small amount of marijuana and allowed the use of medical marijuana. So the question is, are we ever going to move in the same direction as Colorado and California? Or
I think that Connecticut really views this as a pharmaceutical. It's clear from their regulations, and it's really reflected in how the program is being run, that they're very serious about the science behind cannabis and cannabinoid research. And it's a great state for it, because Connecticut is known for pharmaceuticals. So
right.
I think Connecticut's really going to stay in that area for a while. If the federal prohibition is lifted, then we have, then it's another issue. But I think Connecticut's really committed to the pharmaceutical right now.
So you touched on this earlier a little bit, and I didn't follow up, and that is What kind of packaging is this going to be as it goes to the dispensaries?
So we have opaque, child-proof packaging. It's going to look like any other prescription.
Like in a cardboard box? Or?
We actually have pill bottles.
No. Oh, pill bottles.
It looks like pill bottles almost, but just slightly different. You know, we wanted them to be fully protected from the light. Mm-hmm. So, and child-proof, and then that entire thing will be in a box.
So, does it have a brand name on it?
Yeah, well, each product, so it'll obviously say Curaleaf, mm-hmm. and have the name and address of the production facility. The label is mandated by the Department of Consumer Protection, so it will state all of the active ingredients, all of the testing, pass-fail on microbials, any other ingredients that are in there. If it's a tincture and we've used some sort of oil or anything else will be in there. But then also, yes, each product has its own brand name. And so we're in the process of developing those right now.
So Curaleaf will be the manufacturer,
mm-hmm.
and then each thing will have its own little name.
Right.
So.
Like, for example, we have things that are formulated for the morning that are Primora is the brand name, and then things that are formulated for the evening, which are Lunora strength.
Interesting. Okay, so the next question is, we talked about this in February. What kind of reception have you gotten from the people of Simsbury? As I mentioned earlier, there have been some people who continue to complain and bring
right.
it up at public meetings, but I ran into you at a Chamber of Commerce event, and so I was interested in...
I hear about the negativity here and there, but for the most part, I've never experienced it personally, and I'm well received everywhere. I mean, everyone's been very kind and very excited about the new option. You know, I think people are very interested in alternatives and kind of natural medicine these days, mm-hmm. and this is exciting to a lot of people. It's almost like, had we discovered it in the rainforest, everybody would be clamoring for it, but it's just been prohibited, so it's the same thing. But I haven't encountered any negativity, the opposite.
April, thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Coming
Thanks
back
for having me.
and giving us an update and letting us know that your facility is actually opened.
Yes, we're there.
So thanks to everyone here at SCTV for getting the show on the air. Thanks especially to my guest Lisa Kareem, who joined us in part one, and April, who is here now. And finally, thank you for joining us. If you missed any portion of the show, you can find it on our website at simsburytv.org. I'm Dominique Avery. See you next time for the Talk of Simsbury.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.